Hey everybody, this is Herschel Frill from High School Top 200, and this is a Top 200 podcast. We're back again, me and Brad. Jake is off with the New Zealand paper plane team, doing pretty good over there in Brazil. So shout out to him and the Black Plains.
The Black Plains
Black
this
Plains,
week.
yeah.
Man of many sports
Yeah,
heroes.
I just heard that's what it's called. It's been a pretty sad week, and I don't want to touch on this too much, but to all the Muslims out there, Muslim community out there that is suffering right now, and you know, our hearts and thoughts are with you, and you know, as they all say that we are one, and everyone's a New Zealander. You know, I don't care what nationality you are. If you live here, then you're with us. We have a special guest, and I think it's a guest that I enjoy a lot because he is doing it at the top of the ranks in his chosen sport. Junior Far, straight out of South Auckland, 6'5".
Yep.
5?
Yep.
How heavy are you?
About I fight around 115.
115? Is in our offices.
Thanks
Thanks for being here, bro. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I kind of want to get at you a little bit, bro, because in your last fight, and this is what I do usually when I watch the Jazz or I watch the Chargers, watch the Chiefs and the All Blacks, is that I go down to countdown, buy my chips and dip, get my little girls some food as well so they can cheer with me. You know, I made my dip, got the ice ready with my cup, had me some Mountain Dew, and as I was bringing my snacks out, he was hit over for the second time. And I knew from then, this is going to be a bloody waste of time. And it was over. And I was like, and my little daughter was like, oh, is it finished, Dad? I was like, yeah, I think so. I think we're done.
Yeah.
What happened, bro?
Oh man, it was just the plan produced itself perfectly in the fight. You know, we were drilling a lot of things within the training camp.
Yeah.
And they presented itself straight away. I made sure that I jumped on the plan straight away. And then a particular drill that we keep on doing inside the clinch, because we knew as soon as I was going to get him on the ropes, is that I basically knew he was going to try and hold me.
Yeah.
And then he came in for the hold, and then I made sure that I got my space right with my left hand. I threw my right hand, which is something we've been drilling for a long time. Yeah. Not just for this camp, but it's just the habit that I have just picked up because it's something that I've really struggled with in my past fights. So we've been working on that particular drill, and then that drill came out on this fight, and then I spaced him out with my left hand, threw my right hand, he dropped down on the floor, which is something that I think the whole team was basically surprised with, you know, because I wasn't expecting him to basically drop on the first round. I thought, because from his fights that I've seen him...
Yeah, what did you guys expect from doing your sort of scouting report on his other fights he had previously? He looked better when I went and watched some of his highlights. He looked better. Yeah,
I mean, I knew that I could hurt him, but in his past fights, he never really got hurt. He always got stopped from his losses from basically being too tired. So he could take punishment, but then on the fights where he got stopped, it was basically because he punched himself out, or he was just slowly getting beat, then he gave up. You never really saw him get dropped or anything.
Yeah.
Whereas in this fight, I did drop him.
So just when you do your scouting report on someone, especially with him, do you guys look at the people that he has fought and then sort of weight it up of he should have won that fight, he should have done good in that fight, he did exactly what we thought he would do in that fight, and then sort of translating it to you to say, okay, this is how we can take care of that, or this is where we expose them?
No, I guess a little bit of that. In terms of watching fights, we don't really watch like, well, for myself personally, I don't really watch whole fights of people, you know. So the fights that I saw him in, I would watch maybe 5 rounds and then see exactly what he does in the first round. Is that because
you already know pretty much over 5 rounds, you're like, okay, that's what he is?
Yeah, pretty much.
You already know what he's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like in a fight, I want to see how they are when they first come out.
Yeah.
First round is very important to basically see what they do, and I see that he basically likes to move throughout the whole rounds of his fight. You know, he seems the same between the first round throughout the last round. So he seems the same, which is something that I felt pretty easy to train for. You know, so yeah. So the stuff that we trained for, it just basically showing itself in the first round. I jumped on it. But
it just came a bit earlier than you guys thought it would be? Yeah,
definitely.
What round were you picking to sort of really put him in his place?
Maybe 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
I was planning to hurt him.
Yeah.
In the first round, I didn't expect it to be stopped in the first round.
When you got this fight with this dude, did you think that was a fair matchup for you, or did you think I should be fighting someone better than this guy?
I didn't. I mean, I knew that he was gonna be. I kind of hoped that he was gonna present like a bit more. But in terms of opponents, like this has been. This past fight, we went through so many opponents, man. He was possibly 10th down the list. Yeah.
What do you mean? We go through opponents that they were just saying no. They just said they didn't want to.
A few of them said no. A few of them already had fights scheduled.
Yeah.
A couple of them said yes, but for a certain price, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, bro, that's just the process of professional boxing, especially at the stage where I'm at, where I'm not really known through the media just yet.
Yeah.
So it's a big risk to basically lose to me in a low, low stage.
Because that's like the fear, is that a person that's ranked higher or has got more notoriety than you do, if you beat them, for them that's just like, oh shoot, that's a pretty bad position to be in.
Yeah.
And only just lifts you up a lot more as well, right?
Yeah, basically.
And is that kind of the position that you want to put yourselves in right now to sort of lift?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Like, we're trying to look for a good step-up fight for me. So in terms of that, we just kind of need like better financial backing.
Yeah.
Because the opponents now are just, they're just asking for a lot of money. So, yeah.
When they ask for money, are they even worth that amount that they're asking for?
Nah, man. Like, the fight is not worth it.
Yeah.
But it's worth it to them because, because they know they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose on TV.
Yeah.
In front of their friends.
So you're paying for, like, their pride.
Pretty much, yeah, bro. Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
It's like, if you're going to knock me out in the second round, I want this amount of money so I can go home and say, at least I got paid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's just take it back to when you were young. Where did you grow up?
So I was I'm basically South Auckland boy, born in Otahu and raised in Papakura.
You played legal rugby growing up?
No, I played rugby up to about 15, and then I switched on to boxing at 16.
Are you like, because you don't seem aggressive.
No.
So you weren't actually like fighting at school? You weren't that kind of guy, eh?
Nah, man. I was just a real, I was just a real chill boy. I still am, I don't fight. I've never had a street fight. I don't like that type of stuff, I don't like it. But boxing to me is different. I like the technical side of boxing. It's kind of like a little chess match. It's kind of like a game of tag, and that's the way I see it. I don't see it as like, two blokes swinging for the fences, Nah. So so in terms of growing up in South Auckland, I'm not your stereotypical South Auckland boy, I probably look like one, but I'm not some guy from the street who was fighting and I'm South Auckland. Nah, it's not me.
When did you know that you could throw a punch? Or who recognized that you could throw a punch?
to be honest, I've never been like an actual like big puncher,
Yeah.
but I've always had like a good, a good skill set for fighting.
Yeah.
So when growing up, played rugby, didn't like it. I think it was just like, for the same reason, because like, rugby is a very physical sport. It's a very aggressive sport.
Yeah.
You're just like this the whole time,
Yeah.
smashing bodies on bodies, and I didn't like it. And then my dad, he wanted me to play rugby. I didn't. And so I asked if I can do boxing. And then he kept on.
Why did you say boxing? Did you just go, so that was just the answer? I was like, oh, what about boxing?
Because growing up, I would see him box because my dad used to box in Tonga.
Yeah.
Back in his day. And since we moved to New Zealand, he would continue his boxing training downstairs.
Yeah.
So growing up, I would see him training downstairs, punching the bag, blah, blah. So those are the two sports that I saw. I saw rugby on TV and stuff, and my brother played rugby. But my dad did boxing. And since I didn't like rugby, I'll be like, oh, okay, now I'll do what dad's doing. I'll box. And so I wanted to box. My dad didn't want me to box because of the type of person that I was. I was like, I was getting beat up by my sisters and stuff.
Yeah.
Very soft kid, very scared boy. And so he wouldn't take me until I turned like 15, 16. And then he finally took me, and then I showed some actual talent in the gym. And then and then it kind of stemmed from that.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
And there were like no fights that you had where you're just like when you were younger that your dad was like, man, you.
Nah, man. All the fights I had was with my sister. Our little sparring sessions down in the garage where she would beat me up, and I would run down the street and she would chase me with a boxing glove and smash me.
Aren't you grateful that phone cameras went around back then?
Oh yeah, straight up, man, straight up, bro. Oh my gosh.
It's like Junior Far when he was 10. He was running down the road.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you being in high school? What was your typical day kind of thing? What was it like for you?
Just a normal teenager trying to look tough.
Yeah.
But at the same time try to, stay out of trouble. I would, walk around with my friends. I would have I think there's a group of 5 or 6 of us, and we still keep in touch, The most of them are Pākehā because I wasn't in the low academic classes. I was a bit smarter than
you're
the guys.
quite academic, fella?
I've been at the same time I wasn't smart, but I wasn't stupid. So I had a lot of Pākehā mates growing up. And so throughout lunch I'll just go and grab something from the cafeteria, and then probably go and play basketball.
Yeah.
Basketball I like because it's fun, but it's a
and because you played it every single Wednesday for Mutual and Young Men's.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how Mormons grow up.
Yeah, man, all Mormons,
So
ball.
when did your school get angry at you when you're like, I just don't want to play rugby, but then they looked at how big you were and they're just like, look, just give it a go, just come to the trials and was that kind of the chat that they had with you?
Yeah, that's actually something that I haven't thought of in a while. But but when I was just because I didn't play rugby for the school at all, because I didn't really like rugby until I started boxing, and then I started slowly making a name for myself in the in boxing, where they were like, sorry, there was this one coach, I forgot his name, but he was on me all the time, man, trying to drag me into the first 15 team. Yeah, but the same time
trying to talk you out of boxing, but
pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty much. But I didn't want to because one, I didn't like rugby, and two, the first 15 teams sucked.
Yeah,
man. I don't think Papakura's had a good first 15 team since my brother was at school, because they had a pretty okay team back then. But apart from that, man, Papakura's.
How come you didn't go to Wesley with Issy?
I think he was only there for rugby.
He was only there for rugby.
Yeah, and Papakura High School was just so close.
Because I remember watching Issy when he came back from the States because he went to Highland for a year. And that's where he played with Halote in that day. I think Halote was in the team as well. Halote Ngata was in the team.
Oh, yeah.
And Issy was there. Because I got told of this, my mate Bronson Daniels, he went with Issy as well. And he told me the story about Issy where the football team wanted him to do kick returns.
Okay, yeah.
And so in football, the way that it is that when you have a plan on kick returns, you just stay to the plan. There's no deviating from the plan. If they want you to run right and run through some blockers, that's how you're supposed to do it. Bronson told me that they kicked the ball off to Issy. Issy got the ball straight away and just went his own way. Yeah. All the blockers were set up on one side. He just took off. And he scored a touchdown in the training. And then the coach got pissed off and told him to get off the field. And then he took his helmet off. He chucked it out. He's like, I don't want to play this stupid game anyway. And I thought, I was like, oh yeah, that kind of sounds like
classic.
What is what age were you at when you were like, I want to do this properly?
Shucks, I think it was just the process. I think it was a process of me winning fights and then winning a national medal. Yeah. And then going on from that. Shucks, what
was your first fight like? Getting punched in the face, because that Mike Tyson thing is like everyone has a plan till they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
What was that like for you when you got punched in the face?
For me that was like back in my first sparring session. It was a bit scary. When you first start sparring dudes, and they're throwing hard punches at you. It kind of takes time to get used to seeing punches coming your way, and then it's not so much of a shock. Whereas in my first fight, the massive shock to me was basically how to perform in a crowd, because big time, man.
You mean the walking out part, or just in the ring, then looking around and seeing everybody?
It's just basically the whole thing, It's just basically being at the place, feeling that hype. Yeah. Feeling the atmosphere, and then your fist ball up, and you're spending so much energy thinking about the crowd and and.
So what is the mental side of it when you're in there, sort of your first time, and then remembering to cut out everybody around you and remembering your game plan? How do you do that?
It's very hard, and I would say most people who have their first fight, it's usually a terrible fight. My first fight was terrible. I punched myself out in the first, probably by the second. Probably halfway through the second round, I've punched myself out entirely.
Was that because you were so just tired. Too excited to sort of
man,
be
I
there?
was just, way too excited, punching way too many punches in the first round. And then, halfway through the second, I was like, oh my gosh, I am
dropping
out,
your arms
man.
a bit, yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm so tired. And then the third round, I just barely survived that. And then I got the win. But it was a very good experience. I remember after my first fight, and then I came back to the locker room, and then, I said to my coach, I was like, wait. No, I don't think I said this to my coach, but I said this to myself. I was like, man, I don't think I want to do this. Just because the way I felt after the fight, man, I was so tired, man. I felt like fainting, man,
really?
Yeah, man, I was so tired, man. I spent so much energy. Very fit, but I just couldn't really control I couldn't really control the emotions,
Yeah.
But man, that was a funny fight.
What was your first professional fight like?
That was good. It was it was a very good game plan. I think that was my most that was my best performance. They kind of stuck to the game plan type thing,
Yeah. Does it take a while in boxing to do that? Really keep mentally strong on your game plan?
For some people it is. there are some boxers who I've seen who are just, you know, terrific in the ring, you know, with their mindset and stuff. I think it's just a talent that some people have, but some people don't really have the dedication though. So you gotta have like a full package type thing, you know, because there's a lot of people that I've seen who are a lot of who seems to be a lot better than me mentally, but they're not on the sport anymore, you know. So like, you know, their love for boxing isn't really there, but they're so talented, you know. But but my first professional fight, I had a very clear game plan, you know, because I knew exactly what this guy did. And so my plan was to push him on the ropes, and then as soon as he gets on the ropes, he always throws his fist very, very high. And then from there, I just attacked the body straight away, and then man, that was it. I think the fight lasted like probably like a minute.
It wasn't a long fight, eh?
No. But it was just perfectly executed. Very good game plan.
And what was that? Was your mindset different going from sort of amateur into your professional and saying, okay, this is actually counting to something now, turning pro?
A little bit. I would say my first year in pro wasn't very good. Because my mindset wasn't really there, because I knew the level that I came from in the amateurs was so much higher than the level in professional. Because like, you know,
why is that?
Oh man, the amateurs is you know where it's at, man. If you can get at a good level in the amateurs, you would take the pro game easily. It's man, it's so different, you know. It's that's basically where you get the top guys, you know, the top guys that you see, and basically all the divisions, they all came from a, you know, big background in the amateurs. And so I brought confidence in that, you know. I knew that the guys in my first year of turning pro, I knew that they couldn't really, you know, hang with me in the ring, because I came from such a good level. And so with that, I kind of slacked off in my first year, you know. I didn't really train as hard. I kind of ate a bit too much. And so I looked completely different to what I do now, compared to my first professional year, you know. It was crazy. But
where was the first place that you traveled to box? Like, even in your amateurs, where was?
I think it was Tonga.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I think Tonga or Samoa, or Samoa.
Was it a village fight?
Pretty much, bro.
Just the chief set it up for you.
Pretty much, you know.
It's like, you're fighting for our village.
Some kid from the village turns up.
It's like dispute over land. And it's like, we'll just get Junior to come over. His dad said yes. I think it was Samoa. I think Samoa was my first overseas trip for boxing. Was it pretty trippy? It was like, man, I'm fighting in somewhere else. Like, I'm
traveling to buzzy, man. Heck yeah, man. That was a good trip. Very good experience, you know, just to get myself used to the travel, because since that I've been, you know, traveling to a lot of places. What's your favorite place to go to, or that you've been to so far in terms of traveling for boxing? Ooh. My favorite place, probably India. India. Yeah, it's just a nice place, man. Yeah. Cool place, cool people. And plus, when I was there, like the team that I was with, man, it was so fun. You know, we were there for a boxing trip. We were, you know, fighting a lot, training a lot, but like, you know, it was just a good bunch of guys. Yeah, good trip. What is I saw this picture with you and Anthony Joshua. Yep. Where was that taken? That was in England. I think that was at the airport. So yeah, so I've traveled to England a couple of times for training too. Yeah. That was when I first met Anthony Joshua. This was in 2011. That's when I first sparred him, and then I was like, oh man, who is this guy? You know? You guys were both sort of. Was this after Olympics? Nah. Well, no. this was before the Olympics. This was this
true.
was just after the Commonwealth, the 2010 Commonwealth Games. So I went to the 2010 Commonwealth Games in India, and I fought the English super heavyweight back then, and I beat him.
Yeah.
And then I went to England in 2011, where they had a new super heavyweight, and his name was Anthony Joshua. So I didn't think too much of him because I beat the last
You
dude,
beat the last one, yeah.
and then I sparred him, and then he even back then, I don't think he was very experienced, but he was very good and very strong, and then I kind of felt his power. Then I was like, oh man, this guy's good, bro. Yeah, and then because we were training up for the Worlds, and that I think he basically went in there as basically a novice boxer, and he comes out with a silver medal at the World Championships, and that's that type of thing is unheard of, but that photo.
Did you know that was? You just thought, man, he's gonna do real good with.
Yeah, I thought it was possible. I was kind of played with my head a bit, because I was, back then I was getting touched up by this guy that no one's heard of, and so I kind of questioned my
ability
self about it, but then as soon as he won, I was like, man, I think that guy is just extremely good, but then I went back to England again in 2012 and 13, and I got to spar with him then as well, and those were a lot better than our first sparring sessions. Our first sparring sessions, I didn't handle them well at all. But the second one, I definitely knew what to do. Yeah.
And you say you didn't handle, is that mentally you didn't handle it well?
Yeah, I didn't really.
Because you played on it sort of as you guys were going,
I think so. Yeah. I don't think I respected him as much. I didn't really. I basically wasn't keeping myself sharp in sparring sessions, and they kind of showed in the shots that I was getting hit with. And then the second time I went over, I kind of had that respect for him. I knew exactly how not to get hit by him.
Yeah.
So then, So then it went a bit better for me.
I was talking to Brad before this about training camps, right? And how do training camps work? What do you guys? What is the whole setup of a training camp? I know everyone goes, yeah, we're focusing on this and this, but what does all that stuff actually mean?
So when you first go into training camp, where does it begin? How far out from a fight, and where do you go?
So the purpose of the training camp is just basically to basically beat your body up as hard as you can, but in a smart way where you can recover and basically go hard the next day too. So it's just basically putting your body through vigorous training sessions where it continues to get kind of beat up but still can get stronger throughout that process, so that by the end of by the 8, 10 or 12 week camp, you basically come out a very, very much stronger fighter,
Does that even nutrition and all of that stuff is all part of that as well, and or your nutritionist comes in with your meals for the whole sort of 8, 12 weeks kind of thing?
Yeah.
And they kind of pinpoint, this is where we want you to peak at this time. All of that kind of stuff is into it.
We haven't. I don't think I've personally broken it down like that. But yeah, kind of. Yeah.
How do you guys choose all your sparring partners and things like that?
It just depends on availability.
Yeah.
So
and your coaches and that go out and sort of find the guys that are similar.
Yep.
To what you're going to be fighting against.
Yep. Yeah. So they basically go around and they basically see who's in town, who's available.
Yeah.
If they're not available, who else is there? Some guy from Australia maybe.
How did you get picked up for Wilder?
That was actually through. I actually met him back in 2017. I went over to Alabama because I fought on his undercard in 2017, and I got to meet him, and then I kind of I think he saw me then, and then I met the coach. Very, very good team there, very good team. And I think he liked me from there and what he saw. But then I also have a sparring partner, mate, who I always bring over for my training camps, Malik Scott, and he seems to be very close with Deontay Wilder.
Oh, okay.
And he had a fight coming up Wilder had a fight coming up against Tyson Fury. I think they were looking for sparring partners, and then Malik Scott mentioned my name to them, and they liked it, and so they brought me over. And yeah.
What was that like for you when you guys got that phone call?
Oh, it was for myself, I don't like to. What is it like? I don't really like to entertain my thoughts too much. I kind of got the call. I was like, oh yeah, cool, sweet.
Like, am I doing anything? No, you're free. It's like, okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
Just to treat it like that.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Because I think to us, and this is where I think our perspectives are different, because to me, from what I'm looking at them as the top of the game, which they are.
Yeah, they are.
But you're also part of the game.
Yeah.
So to you, it's like, no, because I'm going to fight him one day.
Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility, because I think once I reach a certain point in my career, then we're going to have to separate ways. Because Deontay Wilder he actually announced his next fight coming up.
Yes.
And I think 99% sure that I'm going to be going to training camp again with him. Because the guy that he's facing seems to be around the same height and size as me. So I'm just like, I'll probably be picked again.
Making that separation between boxers, because you all kind of know each other. Obviously with Joseph Parker, and you guys sort of coming through together in a way. Does that make it difficult that one day you're going to fight him?
Who?
With Joseph Parker, and you got to separate the fact that you used to know each other more than just boxers.
Parker?
Yeah.
Nah.
It's easy. I'm going to fight you.
It'll be very easy to fight him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just because of the history we have. We've been fighting each other for so long. It's very easy to fight him.
Is that a realistic match?
Yeah. Definitely
is it going to be realistic? Because I want, for me personally, I would want you guys to fight at the top of your guys' game, not a New Zealand fight where it's just it means just that to us. I want it to mean it to everybody. Yeah. I want to see it at that point.
Yeah, that's basically the same as me too. I don't want to. I basically want to treat the New Zealand fans, but at the same time, I know they're not going to appreciate it so much. So I kind of want it to be on a world level where the world can see it. Yeah. Because it's a fight that should mean a lot. And I know the New Zealand people aren't boxing people, so they're not going to give it the respect that it really deserves. So I kind of want it to be at a world level, but if it comes sooner, then I don't care.
If you guys did it in Vegas, it would be a massive deal. Because everyone from Salt Lake and Provo and from California, all the Samoans and Tongans will turn out.
Come over for that,
and they'll make it a big deal. I think we'll make it a big deal.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on him as a boxer?
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good boxer. I still see the same fighter that I've beat. So So I know he's gone better. He is much better in the pros than he was in the amateurs in terms of his style suits the professional game a lot better than it did in the amateurs.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense then. That makes sense because we don't. I mean, us as a viewer, we don't know how to see the difference between those kind of things and how to separate the game from when you go from amateurs into the pro game. We don't know what it takes to make that transition as well.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I mean, your perspective is going to be massive on that kind of stuff in terms of us understanding that. How, who is someone that you would like to fight next, ideally? Who is that? Who is that person that you? Do you have a person in mind that you're sort of gunning at that, like, yeah, I want to have a go at him?
Not really.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, to be honest, like, I kind of just keep to myself. I don't really target certain people. I don't really target certain sanctioning bodies as well, you know. No. So to me, like, the next guy I want is definitely like a step up dude, you know, because the last guy was supposed to be a step up, but it didn't last very long. So I do want a durable opponent and one that's like taller than me as well, because the champions right now are all big guys.
Oh, big guys,
you know. So that's something that I want to get used to because I want to be fighting them soon. So yeah.
When you say durable, what do you mean by durable?
Like you know, like
in boxing terms, like
yeah, I mean someone that'll, like, you know, last longer than the first round.
You want
someone that'll put up an actual fight, you know.
Yeah. Because and that's just for you to know how far you can push yourself as well.
Yeah.
I want to see what I'm like in the 8th round, 9th round.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because you would want to know how you react by then and how heavy your arms are and you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've had fights where I have gone to the 10th round and stuff, but, like, you know, looking back then, I wasn't the same fighter. Mind you, I was very anemic. I was, I had like a low blood count as well. So like, you know,
really?
Yeah, man. So basically right now I'm a completely different fighter. Yeah. And that's something that I look forward to. Like, you know, I look forward to basically going into the 9th, 10th rounds, you know. Yeah. Where I basically get to see where my body is at, you know. Because we always do 10 rounds in sparring, but, like, you know, sparring is very different from a fight. So I want to see what it's like in a fight. Yeah, because sparring is kind of controlled, right? It's like you tell them how you want them to approach you. Yeah. Rather than... I mean, sometimes it's like that. I've been like... there are sparring sessions like that, but those are more like technical sparring sessions, like, you know, like... what you're going to do in this position or like that kind of stuff? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Whereas like the most times that we spar, it's always just, you know, you just go there and just, you know, fight, but not so hard. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Can you explain like how the rankings work with all the different belts? Which confuses me a lot because I mean, I was looking at the rankings. Sometimes you're like 10, 9, 12. Yeah, one was like 14 or something like that. But I didn't know how or who to trust in terms of the ranking. Yeah. So well, for me, since I have a belt in the WBO sanctioning, I'm ranked higher in that one. So I think I ranked like number 9 or something in the WBO because I have the WBO Oriental something. Yeah. And so I ranked high in that one. If I was to get another belt in another sanctioning body, then that would push me up in their rankings too. Because as soon as you get like a certain belt in a sanctioning body, then they put you basically within the top 15, which is what you want because once you're in the top 15, you can basically that basically means that you can technically be called out to fight the champion. Within the top 15 from any belt? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I never knew that. Yeah. So that's basically the goal, like, you know, was to put yourself in the top basically within the top 15. If you can get higher, then, like, you know, awesome. So, yeah. What do you think of that fight that's coming up with Anthony Joshua and Big Baby Miller? Yeah, I think it's a good fight. I think
Good fight
Anthony.
for AJ or
I think it's a good fight for both of them. Like both of their styles will test each other.
yeah,
It'll definitely see. It'll definitely check to see how tough Baby Miller like really is.
Yeah,
Because he likes to walk down his opponents, and he usually takes a bit of punishment on the way in.
yeah,
And it'll be interesting to see if he can take punishment from Anthony Joshua. So
because that's a different punch, right?
yeah, very different punch, very heavy hands.
See, because I have, and maybe this is like the American arrogance that I'm looking at, but I don't think he respects AJ's punch just because he's not American.
Well,
Because when
maybe.
you hear all of them talking, like all the
Yeah.
American boxers talk, they never big up anybody else.
yeah.
They just do it themselves.
Yeah.
And that's always, and it's funny too, because I had this conversation, right? And to be honest, you and Joseph Parker and kind of Anthony Joshua are terrible when it comes to the talk back and forth.
Yeah.
Like in those press conferences.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered why Joseph Parker talks. It's like, bro, just be quiet.
Yeah.
Because we don't talk. And
Yeah.
I've always put it down to the fact that when New Zealanders and Islanders fight, you kind of just say, what? And then he will say what? And you know then they're not going to fight. It's not,
It's on, yeah.
let's see who can have the best drops, you know, like who's got the best
that's
lines.
true.
Like there's no back and forth like
No.
that starts straight away.
Yeah.
Because with what, you understand, okay, now we're going to go. So there's not really that practice of talking.
Yeah.
And I always thought when I sit there and I watch Parker when he goes through his normal press conference, like, bro, just be quiet. Or
Yeah.
just talk like Anthony Joshua is like, I'm just going to punch you out. And just
Yeah.
say stuff like that because that's what you really want to do. Don't try and be creative with your words. Because then you start
Yeah.
like falling over your words and
Yeah,
your
exactly.
punchlines don't come out right and you just sound silly. It's like, I'm going to end your career. It's like, bro, that's lame, bro. Saying stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, man. Like I say that to some people as well. Like because some people say that I should do a lot more trash talking.
No.
But then I'm like if you have it, then yeah, sweet, go for it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, if
You can't pretend.
you can't, then don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Because I always think it sounds silly. It sounds silly when,
man,
like,
exactly,
if
'cause
you
it's
don't
not
have
you.
it. Because you're going to come up with something real dumb. Was just like,
Yeah.
I'm going to knock your shoes off. What? Are you trying to pick me up? It's like, what do you mean knock my shoes off? Like, you come up with stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've always like thought about that. I was just like, yeah, of course those Americans can talk and that sounds
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And they're
that's
all
true.
loud and aggressive. Like, look at like Shannon Briggs is so funny to watch. Like, that's the way that he was following
He's so
Klitschko
funny.
everywhere.
It's so funny.
That's
so good.
funny stuff. But that's
Yeah.
what I think that they do.
Yeah.
Like they do that all the time. We
Yeah.
don't do that all the time.
Yeah.
We don't have to have a, comedic one-line drops before we start having a fight. You just have a fight,
Yeah.
get it over and done with, kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
That's true.
What are the press conferences like when people are out there sort of listening to your like responses? Does it put you in like a awkward position when we have to say something quirky or say something funny? And I mean, Baby Miller, when he went face to face, obviously pushing Joshua.
Oh yeah.
Like, I just thought I was like, bro, that's a stupid move, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of that, I think you should do stuff like that when you want a certain reaction from someone.
Yeah.
And obviously he wants,
No, you're right.
yeah, and so obviously he wants a certain reaction from Anthony Joshua, and so I think with that he's probably gonna get a very aggressive Anthony Joshua,
Yeah.
which we've seen before in the Dillian White fight when he came out and fought him,
Yeah.
and he didn't do so well, in the first few rounds. So maybe that's what he's hoping for. Is for basically a more as for more of a emotional Anthony Joshua,
Yeah.
maybe.
But Anthony Joshua's not like that, eh?
He is.
You
He
reckon
is.
he'll get
I
emotional
think
like that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it in the Dillian White fight, And with his interviews, he seems different.
Yeah.
You know, he's a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, I think he's getting a bit too emotional.
Yeah.
But who knows? You know, you basically never know until fight night.
We were talking about this before, and I, before we started the interview, and how the New Zealand media, they don't appreciate you guys as fighters and you guys as being the top of your game. Like, what do they need to know about you guys in terms of being more supportive of it?
I think they just need to know more about the sport. I think a lot of I don't really know, but yeah, I think they just need to basically educate themselves more on the sport, and they need to respect the sport a bit more so they can have a bit more interest. Because a fighter's life is very interesting, because the sport we do, it's a crazy sport, I think it's for people who probably got like a bit of a screw loose in their head, because we are getting punched for a living, and it seems crazy, and it's very interesting, and us as humans, for some reason, we seem to be drawn to competitive sports. There's there's just something in there that just makes it very, very, very hard to not watch.
Yeah,
and so I think if the media put a bit more focus into combat sports, it'll probably make things a bit more interesting, I think.
Yeah, man, because we were talking about you and Izzy as well, and even Joseph Parker at the same time, is that I thought that you guys should have had a lot more attention given to you guys based on the path that you guys were on already.
Yep.
To me, I don't agree with sort of like the interest, like New Zealand's media of interest, because you being New Zealander and you being on the world stage is interesting enough. They should just show it. And that's how I feel, is they should just show it.
Yep.
And one thing that always annoys me is Scott Dixon. It's because Scott Dixon, IndyCars, has been probably like the top 5 guy for the past 8 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's still at the top of the list right now, and we don't ever see him on the news.
Yeah.
We don't see his races. Like right now, we see Steven Adams. Right now, we see every single game that he plays. They play something small. But why not do that for you? Why not do that for Izzy? Why not do that for even Valerie when she was on the circuit? Think about how much years of circuits that we missed.
Yeah.
And then all we see is her at Commonwealth Games and Olympics. It's no, it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Have a 30-second something of her, of where she is, or every single circuit that she's at. I
think you're right. I think I think the media like to show what's hot or what's trending, or basically people at their absolute peak.
Yeah.
Whereas I think they should be capturing the smaller moments as well, so they capture the journey rather than just some guy that you've never heard of who was just basically won some world championship thing. And it's sad to see that, because you've never heard of this Kiwi before, but then they're he is smashing it on the world stage, and it's sad that it's kind of sad that we don't know, yet alone. But then we seem to know every single rugby player there is. Yeah. But but then the other smaller sports, I don't get that light.
Because imagine if they put you on the news now and they're 17-0 junior fight, and they're 17.
Yeah.
Well, where are these fights? We just know what's coming up next.
Yeah.
Where we should be sort of watching your progression, watching Izzy's progression, watching Valerie Adams and all these other athletes that are coming up.
Yeah, man. There's so much there's so much talent in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So,
well, our UFC fighters for New Zealand especially are coming out. I was always wondering, if Mark Hunt fought out of Australia, Izzy's got his Nigerian flag on there. If you change yours to Tonga and Joseph Parker did his to Samoa, I wonder if New Zealand will get angry and be oh, maybe we should cover them. It's New Zealand fighter representing. It just show them that way. All right, we'll fight for Tonga. What is your next fight when are you looking at having your next fight?
I'm hoping to jump on the undercard of the Wilder fight.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed, man.
And picking up a good opponent?
Yeah.
Like one that's...
If it's going to be televised, then it has to be a good opponent, you know?
Yeah.
I can't fight some bum on, TV. Can't do that. So if I do manage to get on the undercard, then it's going to be a good opponent.
What is the TV like? Are you conscious of the TV?
Nah,
No.
Not anymore.
No.
I think when I first went, what was it? When I went to India for the Commonwealth Games, I think that is basically when that is when I learned how to just focus on the fight rather than the crowd or the event, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning to shut everything out and just, oh, okay. And do you have like a time frame for when you want to finish boxing?
Not really.
No.
I kind of want to have a long career.
Yeah. Which
basically means I need to be smart with my fights. I need to not take punishment.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically said So I've said this to a few people, and to my wife. I kind of want a long, stretched out career. Like Mayweather or like the Klitschko brothers.
Yeah.
Where they kind of ruled for a long time and they didn't take so much punishment, and they're fine after their careers as well. You know,
no CTE and those ones.
I don't want a short, exciting, explosive career.
Yeah.
Because then you come away from your career all damaged and like
drooling at
rich,
40,
but very damaged and just drooling and it's
Is that always that stuff? Does that stuff weigh on your mind a bit with like the CTE and how it's been investigated and talked about with contact sports and?
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Yeah.
But not so much because you kind of go into boxing and then you should expect those things. Because you are getting punched in the head for a living. There are going to be side effects. There are going to be risks.
And it's a clear understanding that like this is exactly what I'm getting into.
Yep. So if people are surprised by that, they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be, man. It's a dangerous sport. Yeah.
What does your wife think about with you boxing, and how does she handle it?
Yeah, she is very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
When we first got together, she it took her a while to get used to the travel.
Yeah.
Because of
the being away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having that understanding of your camps and that kind of stuff.
It's been a process. It was very hard when we first got together, and then we kind of got married, had kids, and then I took time off boxing, and then when I came back into boxing, it was kind of hard to get used to that again.
What was that conversation like, telling your wife, I want to get back into this?
Sharks was pretty easy because it was kind of expected.
She knew that at some point you were...
Yeah, probably, yeah. Just because I've beaten Joseph Parker and then seeing him going so well in the professional ranks, it was like, maybe I should do it as well, and then and then I kind of got back into boxing, but into the professional game, and then I started to get a bit better. Then I got picked up by an American promoter, and then I had to travel again, which was the hard thing, because I thought I did all my traveling in the amateurs, but then I found out that I'm going to do a lot more traveling in the pros as well. So I'm just like, and then I think that was hard to get used to. Like my first trip away from my family when I was professional, that was hard,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, that was very hard. I had 2 kids. I was away in a hotel room for 2 weeks.
Talking over Skype?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, man. It was hard. But then, now, traveling away is so much easier. Like my wife is, she's so good.
Yeah.
She takes care of the kids. The kids are a bit older too, so it's a bit easier. But yeah, it's good. Like it's a very good journey, and it'll be interesting. Thinking about it from years ahead from now.
Yeah. Do your kids get excited when they see you on TV? And
I don't.
Or has it not really registered to them yet that
I don't know if they've registered or I don't know if they even care. They're just like,
It's like, when's Paw Patrol on?
pretty much, bro.
Has Dad finished yet? Okay. So, because this is a high school podcast, what is some advice that you would give to all the kids pursuing their professional career? Like, what's something that you would have maybe told yourself as well to sort of expect, or something that they can hold?
Pursuing a professional career?
Yeah.
I would say, I think the best thing that kind of helped me transition to more of a professional thinking athlete is my dad. He always kept me into my sport. He always basically, I don't want to say force, but he always pressured me into constantly training, being at the gym every day. Yeah. Taking my sport seriously. So I think with that, I just basically, say, to basically listen to your parents. If their head is in the right place, and like if your parents' hearts are in the right place, listen to them. Take your sport very seriously, because I think when I was in high school, sometimes I would think I was missing out on a few things because of my training. Yeah. Things, but then looking back at that now, man, I wasn't missing out on anything. It was crazy to think, because I think in school I was probably considered not weird, but I think it was very clear that I didn't.
Strange Islander.
Yeah, kind of kind of I think it was very clear that I kind of stood out from the crowd because I wasn't doing what the other kids was doing. I think everyone knew that I was a boxer, and they knew that I would be at training, after school and stuff,
Yeah, man.
Yes. Yeah. So I think if you can basically have that mindset in your teenage years, then I think it's going to do you, great things in your professional sporting careers. Yeah. Yeah.
One more question from me is that, what is it about doing some trainings in boxing and in UFC that makes someone after it think that they can beat up anybody? Do you know those kind of guys that do boxing classes and then they go out? Or they just did one roll on the floor, do some jiu-jitsu, and then all of a sudden they're just the toughest guy around. I was like, bro, just calm down. It's just fitness.
It's true. Yeah.
Those kind of people, the guys have been doing boxing training for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden they start play boxing. And it's like, bro, just calm down, man. You do it for fitness.
Yeah, I think it's just because I don't know. I think they're just so excited of basically learning a new skill. It'll be the ones that haven't sparred yet, because when you spar and when you get when you spar with someone good, then you get humbled. I think the ones that are going around town thinking that they're tough are the ones that are basically doing it for fitness, who are basically still at that learning stage, because in our gym, you kind of go through a learning stage, and then you reach a certain level, then then the coach invites you into sparring, because he sees that you can possibly hang in there with the sparring partners. So the ones that haven't sparred, I don't think they really have a good good understanding of how good or how crap they really are.
They really are.
So they really feel that I
think a lot of
funny to see, though.
A lot of Islanders need to get into boxing, man. I've always wondered that why.
Yeah, definitely.
New Zealand hasn't pushed boxing with Islander kids.
Yeah,
and just because we just got heaps of naturally gifted fighters that just need to be, I guess, trained properly and finessed a bit more on their skills and.
Yeah, definitely. There seems to be a lot of talent, especially a lot of natural talent and a lot of natural athletes in the Pacific Islander
Is the
community.
money just not there for boxing? Is that what it is?
The money is there, but only at the top. Like boxing, I wouldn't recommend boxing for everyone
Yeah.
because like, you know, you can't really make a good living unless you're at the top.
Unless you're-
Whereas in a like rugby team situation, it's pretty cool because like, you know, because like everyone gets a pretty good pay.
Yeah.
Whereas boxing, nah, man, it's only at the top. It's only nice at the top. Yeah.
Hear that, kids?
So
Be careful. Pick
Yeah,
properly.
yeah, exactly.
Any last words, bro? Anything you want to shout out? Shout out to Uncle Wax too.
Shout out to Uncle Wax. Sub
Sorry I
2.
didn't come and get some sub 2 stuff this morning. I was supposed to go get us some t-shirts.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I hit him up last couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wax is such a good dude, bro.
Yeah.
Such a nice fellow. Eh?
He's a man.
Yeah.
He's funny, man. Good wife, too.
Yeah,
His,
go to the
wife,
sub 2
Gina.
store as well.
Yeah.
We're here at We Are Tenzing as well. We Are Tenzing building. Any words, Brad?
Good for me.
Good for you.
Good for me.
This is real interesting, bro. It's been good chatting with you, and hope we can chat and catch up after your next fight as well. And
Definitely.
and anything you want to promote as well when you just come in, bro, and
Yeah.
and we'll sit down and have a chat.
All right, sweet.
That's us from Top 200 podcast. Peace.